exciting times at Spurs after what's been a dismal, last season was particularly difficult. I think it's exciting times with Thomas Frank coming in. Now the news breaking that we're talking to Mbeumo, it can only be good.
Yeah, give us your reaction to that. We've been chatting about the potential of Bryan Mbeumo coming to Tottenham. There's obviously the talk is heating up for sure that there could be a hijack in the offing. Clearly, Tottenham are interested. He is still, though, a Man United fan from young, and apparently that's his preference. But given that Frank is his manager, who he trusts, who he knows can get the best out of him, where do you think he will land? If money is the same, do you think he goes with the manager he trusts, or do he goes with his heart with his boyhood club?
I personally think he ends up at Manchester United. I don't think he comes to Spurs, but I don't think that necessarily means that we should all be doom and gloom, because I think if we don't get Mbeumo, we're going to get Semenyo. So I think, every cloud and all that, but I kind of get the feeling that he set his heart on Manchester United. We came in for him before. I know that we didn't have Frank at the time, but we came in for him. There's rumours Newcastle went in for him. There's rumours Arsenal even inquired, but he sort of said, no, I want to go to Manchester United. And I think that's where he'll end up. Myself, I think Jimbo is completely the opposite, as most things. Me and Jim never agree on anything, but from my point of view, I think he will still end up at Manchester United. But it's good to see us going in for him. Frank, obviously, we know that he's got a great relationship with him, and it's good to see us actually going in and trying to get him. But I think he's already made his mind up.
You think if Man United put the money up, whatever Frank says, if you think it's kind of he's talking to deaf ears, you think?
I mean, I look at it for me. If I was obviously as a lifelong Tottenham fan, if Manchester United come in for me, same money, same situation, I'm going to Tottenham because that's the team I've always loved. And I look at it from that, and I do think that does come into it for players. And I think it's disingenuous, these people that say Man United are a dead club, they've got no pull. They're still Man United, and there is a sort of romantic idea that if you're going to be part of Man United's resurrection, it is a good place to be. So yeah, for me, I think he's made his mind up and he'll end up at Man United.
Jimbo, you ready to come on? Yeah, you ready?
I was ready anyway, Ben. I was saying no.
I thought you were saying no, don't bring me on. No
to my wife. I was saying no to my wife.
Oh, okay. Brilliant.
How are you?
Guys, I'm going to shoot off, get some work done. Lovely to see you all.
All right, Gav. Lovely to see you.
I'll speak to you all very soon.
Appreciate you coming on, mate.
No worries. I'll speak to you guys soon. Take care.
So, look, I come on, they all go.
Exactly. Well, it's a revolving door today. Jimbo, so you disagree with Kate? Do you think, if the money's the same, do you think Frank kind of has a case to put forward to convince Mbeumo to come to Tottenham?
I said as soon as we agreed on Frank that Mbeumo would come, I was convinced of it. Why wouldn't he come, Sim? He's Tottenham Hotspur. Man United are finished compared to us now. Sorry, but they are. Look where they are. We've got Champions League, right? To me, it's a no-brainer for him to come to Spurs over Man United. I mean, they've got so much work to do. Brand new stadium, best training facilities in the world. We've got everything going for us. He's got his manager that he loves. They're meant to be really, really close. So why? If it was me, I know where I would go. That's for sure.
Well, if you're Mbeumo's agent, do you like? There's two ways of looking at it. Obviously, Man United, obviously a big club. Will they offer more money? Maybe. I'm not 100% sure right now. Obviously, big brand. You get immediate attention on you. All this kind of stuff. But if you've got like footballing ambition, is there any guarantee Man United get into the Champions League next season? No guarantees at the moment, given the way they're heading. Tottenham, at least you're guaranteed in the Champions League for next season. You've got that platform already to build on. And you've got a manager who can get the best out of you. You just scored 20 goals last season playing under him. You've got a great relationship with him. Who knows what your relationship with Amram is going to be? So, Kate, where do you think his agent would push him to a move to Man United? Or do you think maybe he's thinking, look, There's no guarantees I'm in Champions League. Even he could have to wait 3 years to be in Champions League and Man United potentially if he joins them.
I think his agent will say to him, "Where do you want to go?" And Mbeumo will say Manchester United, and he will say, "Fine." I don't think there'd be much reason for him to push him to Spurs. Yes, we've got Champions League, but if you're going to sit there, Jimbo, and say that Man United have finished, you could say the same about Spurs. We did get a trophy at the end of it, but it was arguably not the most difficult trophy to win.
And come on, Kate. None of that. None of that.
Arguably, I mean, I'm only going by what some people say. I think, the glory, it's beautiful.
Some negative Nellies. That's who we're saying it.
Hey, the proof is in the pudding. The trophy is in our cabinet, right? We're in the Champions League, right? If they've offered him 250 grand, Spurs can offer him 250 grand if they want him, right? It depends how hard Frank pushes for him. I think if Frank pushes for him to come, right, I think he will be here. And it's as simple as that. Why wouldn't he? Look, you can say Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. No, that's finished. Man United are not one. Kate, Man United are not one of the biggest clubs in the world anymore, right? They've dropped like a stone. I'm not saying they can't get back there, but they're not one of the biggest clubs in the world anymore. Arsenal are above them. City are above them. Liverpool are above them. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. We could keep going and going. Right, they're not the elite club they was, Kate, and that's just a fact.
They've still got the biggest fan base in the whole of the Premier League. They're a huge institution. Their history is mind blowing. You've got to give them credit, Jimbo, and I think they've still got the pull that they used to have. I do.
Footballing wise, where's he a better fit?
I think he walks into both teams and makes them both better. But I think he's perfect for Amorim. Myself. Frank obviously knows how to utilise him. Look, it's difficult. I think literally he could play in either team. We both will be better for having him. But I think he set his heart on Man United. The fact he turned down Newcastle, Arsenal, these are all teams with Champions League football. I think that's just where he wants to go. I take my hat off to anyone that sticks to their guns. If he does choose to stick to his guns, or as much as I'd like him at Spurs, I take my hat off to him.
Yeah, and look, I think it's difficult when kind of he's already kind of confirmed he's a Man United fan, right? So all of a sudden, that means like he's just got that emotional attachment to kind of wanting to go there. But I feel like there's a very good case for professional reasons, footballing reasons. Tottenham will be the better place for him because we've seen big players go to Man United in recent years and really fail to kind of reach the heights that they were when they joined them. It's a club which is in a bit of disarray at the moment. I know you can say the same for us, but at least he knows he's got a manager there who knows how to use him, who knows how to get the best out of him. And there's no reason why him come to Tottenham, he can't replicate his Brentford form. Whereas at Man United, that's still going to be a bit of a question mark over his head. That's still going to be a lingering doubt, isn't it? And obviously, Man United potentially have financial issues. We don't know. They haven't put their money on the table. If we kind of put in a first bid that's very serious and gets immediately accepted, whereas Man United seem to be kind of haggling for it. I know we haggle as well, so maybe it's kind of fanciful thinking. But like if we kind of just put the money down and say, look, we're serious about you, come here, we really want you, maybe you'll think these guys are more serious about me than Man United.
Yeah, do you know what? I think I've rattled a few Man United fans in the chat. But do you know what, right? I'm only speaking realistic. It's not like I'm speaking out my backside. They're not the club they used to be, right? They need a new stadium. Their roof's leaking, so I've been told by so many people. They need to spend a lot of money at Man United, And as Amorim last year, he didn't look like he was getting better and better. He looked like he was getting worse, as the season went on.
But he hasn't had a transfer window yet, so I think it's.
I know that
he had one, Kate.
Yeah, but come on, not a summer window. That's where we tend to.
Wait, so there's no lack of transfer window an excuse for 15th?
I'm sounding like I'm a Manchester United fan here, and I'm not. But I'm trying to be devil's advocate, and I'm looking at it from the outside in. But look,
you've got to know where you are as a club, Kate, right? And I just see someone put in the chat, one trophy in 17 years makes you a big club. No, it doesn't, because I know where Spurs are, and I knew where they were last season. And if ever you've watched me on stream, I've always said I knew where we was in the pecking order. But you've got to, as a Man United fan now, know where you are in the pecking order, and you're not near the top anymore. You know, and there was a time when Man United come to Spurs, and I used to say, this is 3 points down the drain. Or we went to Man United, and I used to say, this is 3 points down the drain. But it's not like that no more. We beat them 4 times last year. When have Spurs ever beat Man United twice in the season, let alone 4 times? So what I'm saying, Sim, is they're not the club they used to be. And it's just a fact. And they have to understand that. And I'm not sitting here saying they can't get there, because they are a great club and have been a great club through history. But at this moment in time, they're not the club they were. And that's just a fact.
Yeah, and people, you know, when we talk about, I saw some comments earlier saying, oh, they're Man United, they'll obviously be back. They'll obviously be back to their best. You know, Liverpool, how long did it take them to win the league again after, you know, when they won it in the 70s or 80s? When was it?
30 odd years. I think it was 30 odd years, 37
yeah, you know what I mean?
years or something.
United currently at what, 13 years now since winning the league? 13. That's nearly halfway there. Like, it could be a long time before they ever reach the heights they used to. Anyone thinking they're guaranteed to do it, and they're guaranteed to do it soon, I think have not been watching for the last decade. They're very much
flipping that on its head, Sim. How far away are we from winning a league?
Also quite far.
Exactly.
I mean, we haven't won it since the 60s.
No, exactly.
No, but I think Jim's point is, like, yes, that's true, but we've always been there. We've been there.
Yeah.
This is who we've been for the past decade. This is very past for however long. This is new to Man United. Man United think that they're still that club that was winning league titles consistently in the 90s and 2000s. They are not that club anymore. They haven't been for 13 years. And they're not this big name that kind of, yes, clearly they have some pull because they are a big name, but they're not this kind of team that people look at and think, wow, I really want to be part of that because we're guaranteed to win if we go there. Because they're not.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have seen that. But in terms of just talking about Bryan Mbeumo, Kate, how much of a statement would that be for you to get him through, get him through the door?
I think it'd be a massive statement. I think he's a real, like I say, all we ever want as Spurs fans is players that can walk in and make our team better, like an Eze and Mbeumo. We know they walk straight into our side and make them better. I think if we get him, it's not only a great statement signing from Levy, I think it shows that he's backing Frank, and it also shows us that Frank has got the ability to pull in some good players as well, because like we say, it looked like Mbeumo was done and dusted to Manchester United. If he does come in and choose Spurs, it shows that Frank's got a big amount of pull as well. So I think it's a win-win. It's a win for Daniel Levy, which he always needs the wins. And it's a win for Thomas Frank as well, endearing himself to the fans by bringing in one of, if not Brentford's best player. So it'd be massive, because we all know these transfer windows tend to be a little bit anticlimactic. So it'd be a great way to start the summer window off without any shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, do you think, Jimbo, that would be a statement of intent if we start the window off by getting Mbeumo, or is it just a case of, you know, he's a player that Frank knows well, and that maybe it'll be kind of maybe a one-off for this window?
Yeah, of course it will be. I mean, it's more of an intent for Spurs than it is for Man United, because Man United have always bought superstars through the years, you know, and at the minute, I don't think they've got many superstars. They got Bruno. I mean, who else is a superstar in their team? You know, but they've bought players that they thought were going to be superstars that haven't turned out that way. But we don't normally buy superstars, very rarely. They come to us and they're really good players and they build into superstars. So over the years, so it's more of an intent for us. And I just think to myself, we got everything going for us for him to come to us. Right? I think that we're set up better than Man United at the minute. We've got the stadium, the training ground. I think we've got a better team, right? Potentially under Frank. I think he'll make us a lot stronger than what Ange did. And I just think everything's set up better for him to come to us. And obviously he's going to be under Frank. He knows what to expect, you know, than going under Amorim. So I just think that I'm convinced he's going to come to us.
I actually thought Man United had already put in a bid of 55 million that was rejected by Brentford, and Brentford had said they want at least 60. Am I wrong there? Was that not confirmed? This was like when the transfer window first opened.
Say that again, Kate.
I thought when the transfer window first opened that actually Man United went in with a £55 million bid that Brentford rejected and said they want 60 upwards.
Yeah, they've bid 45 plus 10 million in add-ons.
Right. Okay.
And apparently it's well off the fee that Brentford want for him. I'm guessing they want closer to like 55 plus 10 instead of 45. That's one.
Yeah, and I don't think that's out of the park.
Yeah, I mean we played the Solanke.
Exactly, and he scored 20 odd goals I think last season, and he's a lot of people saying that's too much money. I don't see it when you look at what we spent on Solanke and Johnson, and obviously inflation and what it's just what you have to pay these days.
There has been an update as we've been live. Bit of breaking news. Sam J. Dean, who's a reporter for The Telegraph. Tottenham are looking to hijack the move for Bryan Mbeumo. The prospect of continuing to work with Frank should Spurs choose to step up their initial interest could prove tempting for Mbeumo. So like a lot of people now seem to be jumping on this news. It seems to be snowballing a bit. So that tells me there's definitely a bit of truth to it. Like a lot of people suggesting maybe this is news being put out there to kind of entice Man United and get them to up their bid and make them panic. But I think it also makes a lot of sense for Tottenham to want him with Frank at the helm and how he would immediately improve our attack. And I think we've got the money to do it. I think we're looking for a bit of a statement signing early in the window to kind of cap off Frank's tenureship. So I think there is truth to it. I don't think it's just a ploy from the agent. What do you think? Do you think there's a chance, Jimbo, this is a ploy to get Man United to up their bid?
No, I said, as soon as Frank come to us, I said to Kate, I bet you we end up with Mbeumo. That was before there was anything on the TV. I just had a feeling that he would go with Frank. I just see someone in the chat put Man United are a bigger club than Spurs. Historically, Man United are a bigger club than most clubs in the world. But have you got to look at where you are today, right? And Man United are not bigger than City today, right? Historically, yes. They're not bigger than Arsenal today. Historically, yes. And that's the way you've got to look at it. And I think for Mbeumo to come to us, he's going to have more chance of winning stuff, and he's got the Champions League than he is at Man United at the minute. It's going to take Man United, Sim, yourself, you've watched football, you've seen our club. It takes a while to build a club back up again. It doesn't happen overnight. Look at Chelsea. They threw £1 billion at their team, and it didn't. They still never built it up. They've won the what's it called? That cup they won, whatever
Conference League.
Yeah. The Conference League, yeah.
And look at how much money they've spent. It takes time to get back up there. And what you people have got to realise that all the time you're building, other teams who have built are still throwing money at their clubs as well, like City, Liverpool, Arsenal. It's hard to get in this day and age. It's not like the old days. It's hard to get back up to become the best club again in this day and age. There's so much money in the game.
It will be an unbelievable coup if we manage to get him over Manchester United. When you think of days of old, when as soon as Man United came calling for players like Berbatov, you just knew there was no way he was going to stay. It's Man United, he's going to go. So if we could actually beat Manchester United to Mbeumo's signature, I think that's a massive coup for Tottenham and Daniel Levy. Huge. So it'd be interesting to see how it pans out. There's always a bit of drama. But I hope that if we do get him, we get him soon. We want him so that we get pre-season. We always leave it too late, to get the players bedded in. Hopefully, if we are going to get him, we get it done soon.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm sure this is going to be a transfer saga, which we have not heard the last of. I'm absolutely certain of that. Talk to me, guys, about Cuti Romero yesterday. Made a statement an hour. Oh, let's bring in Brian, actually. Before we move on to Cuti Romero, Brian, he's back in the house. How are we doing today, Brian? You had a little break from the stream, but you're back. And just before we're going to get into another topic, but before we do, I want to get your thoughts on Mbeumo because the news has been snowballing since you left.
Okay.
More and more journalists are picking up on the story, saying there is truth to Tottenham hijacking this Mbeumo deal. Where I think a lot of them are still saying that United are favourites because he still wants to go there. They're also saying he's. A lot of the reports are suggesting that Mbeumo is very much intrigued by Frank moving to Tottenham, and that deal could very much could happen really if Frank can convince him that Tottenham's the right club. So, with more and more journalists kind of getting on the story, are you getting more excited, or are you still kind of, knowing what kind of club Tottenham are, I guess?
So first of all, let me just say hello to the wonderful Kate and Jim. It's been a long time since we've been on the screen together, so it's wonderful to share the screen with them. Thomas Frank, Mbeumo, like you said, it's going to be intriguing, isn't it? We were talking earlier before I left that is it going to your boyhood club, or can Thomas Frank sell Tottenham to him? And I think Thomas Frank is the big chess piece in this, isn't he? If there had been any other manager that had come in to Tottenham Hotspur, I don't think we're having this conversation at all. I don't think there's a chance. I mean, I've heard Newcastle, there's rumours Newcastle are sniffing around as well, which could offer the Champions League football that Manchester United couldn't. Champions League football is massive. We all know the pull, and we've been told many a time we need to be in that competition to sign the big players. Well, we have got it, and if things are changing, I think Thomas Frank is a major, major cog in this, and intrigue is probably the right word, isn't it? He probably does want to hear what we have to say. The rumoured wages at the beginning of this was saying like we were prepared to pay 140, 150 around. Maybe that gets increased or heavily incentivised with bonuses. Who knows? But Thomas Frank is a major piece in this puzzle, and hopefully he's got enough about him, or you think he would, to convince him, wouldn't you? He's got more assurance with knowing what Frank can do and offer him.
Would you make the argument, Brian, for footballing reasons, Spurs are the smarter choice right now for Mbeumo?
I'm always going. Well, yes. That is head and heart, Simon. You've got a double whammy there. But right now, it is like you said. The only big thing about going to Manchester United for a for a fan, is should Manchester United turn it around with Amorim and whatever they do, to be a part of that as a Manchester United fan would be incredible, wouldn't it? It would be incredible. But we hear that players want Champions League football. They want to test themselves in the elite competition. And Manchester United can't offer that at the moment.
Yeah, and we don't know when United are going to be back in the Champions League. And as you say, Frank, he knows that if he goes there, he gets immediate relationship with the coach, immediate kind of knows he's going to get the best out of him. With Amorim, yes, in theory it should work, 4-3-4-3 and playing that right wing slot. But you just never really know, do you, until you're there in the team, how it's all going to plan out.
I think Sim. Yeah, I think a lot to do with it as well is if he chats with Frank, if they say what other targets they're heading for, I think that could be a big say in it as well.
Yeah, I think when you look at the Tottenham, apparently, according to some other reports, are still looking at Semenyo and Tyler Dibbling as well ahead of Mbeumo. But I think Mbeumo's clearly the superior player to both of those. I also think he's probably the most expensive. So whether we get priced out and look, okay, we're going to go for Semenyo or a Dibbling, I hope not. That would be quite frustrating. But look, Semenyo is also a good player. What do you guys think? I'll go to Kate first. Semenyo, is he a good alternative to someone like an Mbeumo for you? Do you like him?
Yeah, I've heard a few people on YouTube this week comparing the two, and quite a few. I think Johnny was one, said that Semenyo comes out on top in his eyes. I think
and Sean.
And Sean. I think they're both excellent players for different reasons, but look, I just hope it doesn't end up where we get neither. Do you know what I mean? We're talking about both. I hope it doesn't end up with neither. But again, both of them walk straight into our team and make the team better. So if we can't get one, I hope we get the other. I think Mbeumo's more exciting than Semenyo, but I'll be happy with either, if I'm honest.
Yeah, what do you think, Jimbo? Do you think, do you agree with Johnny and Sean? Do you think Semenyo could be the better choice?
No, I would prefer Mbeumo, definitely. But look, I think that I think Spurs have got the basis of a really, really good squad here, right? I think that Ange kind of lost his way a bit with the team. I think that he played certain games wrong, you know, and I think he put a lot of pressure on our players that were fit. I don't know what, we just didn't look right last season, Sim, in the league. And I'm not blaming it all on Ange because, you know, I love Ange, you know. I just think there was too much going wrong. I think with Frank, you know, what I've been reading, what I've been watching about him, he will organise this team and make a structure a lot stronger than what Ange did. And I think that we'll be a very, very, very hard team to beat this season. And I think with one or two like players like Mbeumo thrown in there, I think we're going to be a really, really good team this season. I do. If you go through our team, right, we haven't got many bad players.
Agreed.
You know, I'm not saying we've got superstars, but we've got very, very good players. And
that's a good point, Jim, because, you know, Ben and I were looking at the squad numbers. You know, we've got these homegrown issues within the team for Europe. So because we've only got one homegrown club trained player, that means our squad next season is going to be limited to 22 players in the Champions League. We currently have a squad of 24 first team players. That means we need to get rid of two just to not be oversubscribed for the European squad. So any sales over the two, then we can bring one in for one out kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at the squad and it's like, if we want to make 3 signings, we have to sell 5 players.